Dr. Kamble, can we start?
Yes, sir, start.
Ah.
Exact 3 o'clock.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ.
ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಮೌಲ್ಯೀಕರಣ ಮತ್ತು ಮಾನ್ಯತಾ ಪರಿಷತ್ತಿನ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಸಿಬ್ಬಂದಿ ವರ್ಗದ ಪರವಾಗಿ ತಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಸುಸ್ವಾಗತ. Today we are conducting the sensitization program on the NEP implementation, and we are focusing on the institutions who are all not accredited. You have to come for NAAC assessment accreditation process for the improvement of the quality. This is the need of the hour because the Karnataka government already announced the implementation of NEP from the current academic year onwards. Most of the institutions are little bit confused about the some of the part of the NEP. So where to it should be implemented in the institution, and also the majority of the peoples are having the queries related with the implementation of the NEP. So today with us Dr. Padmavati Madam from SES. She is going to explain you each part of the NEP implementation. So I request all the participants to kindly mute your device during the presentation. So after the presentation of Madam, we will give chance to everyone to ask your queries with the Madam. So before starting the program, just I would like to give a small introduction about the speaker, Dr. Padmavati Madam. Madam holds postgraduate degree in political science, MPhil and doctoral degree with specialization in foreign policies of India and the United States of America, especially from the Department of Political Science, Bangalore University, from our Karnataka. She holds a certificate on Introduction to Corporate Responsibilities, awarded by United Nations Institute of Training and Research, Geneva. And also she completed Women Entrepreneurship Program of IIM Bangalore and is a certified global career counselor from UCLA Extension. She has coordinated and headed a nearly 30 national and international survey related projects. And also she has worked with International Academy for Creative Teaching as a coordinator of PGDCT KSOU and as a senior faculty of social sciences. And also she has served as a member of the NCTE textbook committee for especially for 12th standard, that is world politics. And also she has contributed to the drafting of Karnataka state youth policy as a member of the drafting committee. And also she is a project coordinator of Madiwala Biodiversity Park project. It is a flagship project of KLCDA. She facilitated project implementation also, served as a Karnataka Knowledge Commission, Government of Karnataka, as a senior research associate. Madam, we are very happy you are with us. You are our person, and also we are focusing on the NEP implementation to the open districts of the various government aided and other unaided colleges. I heartily welcome you, Madam, once again. The forum is open to you. Kindly take your time. You can explain in detail. After this, we will take queries from the participants. Thank you very much, Madam.
Ellargu namaskara. I think we should start our webinars in bilingual. Even policy recommends bilingual teaching. Probably it's time that we also initiate. I thank you for a wonderful introduction about me. And I congratulate NAAC for having taken up this initiative. This is much, much needed. Even though policy is over a year and so, there is still some challenge in understanding the policy letter and spirit. Especially it is challenged because we as an institution are now asked to implement the policy. So if we were used to receiving orders from the departments and universities, and implementation used to be very easy. But this is the first policy which has created a scope for the participation of the stakeholders, even in the implementation level. That's the reason why probably we are all finding it quite challenging. Nevertheless, when we go through the entire policy documents, I'm sure a lot of our doubts, apprehensions, and reservations will be addressed. And second thing I wanted to bring to the attention of all our higher education stakeholders is that Karnataka is the first state to formally implement national education policy. But the other states like Madhya Pradesh and UP have already also taken up the implementation. And I'm sure we have a lot of lessons to learn from our own experiments and from our own piloting. But nevertheless, Karnataka has taken a step forward, and our ecosystem, higher education ecosystem, is so very vibrant and so very well known, has been made possible because of the stakeholders like you. We have such a vibrant institutions here that made Karnataka to be the first state in the entire country to begin with. Your support and cooperation is well noted across India. So saying these words, sir, I can share my presentation, right, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Please, ma'am. Please, ma'am.
So today I'm going to give you an overview of the national education policy, and I'm not sure whether with the time period we have, whether we'll be able to cover the entire spectrum of the education policy. Nevertheless, I'll give you the highlights, and we will have a good amount of time to take your questions and try clarifying the doubts or any challenges that you as a higher education institution are facing now. As you all agree with me, national education policy has been considered as the most ambitious and most pragmatic education policy of independent India. So when we look at the policy document, we see several transformative recommendations cut across school education and higher education. So these transformative ideas can be grouped into structural changes, regulatory reforms, and introduction of holistic and multidisciplinary education. There are certain number of recommendations which basically looks at the structure of our higher education system, or rather education system, and lot of regulatory reforms are going to be introduced to reform our entire education system. And the introduction of holistic and multidisciplinary education is considered as the core of the entire higher education system. Moving on, with regard to structural changes, the policy recommends setting up 3 types of institutions. Sorry, my slides are not moving. So type 1 are the research intensive universities. Type 2 are teaching intensive universities. And in the third category, we see autonomous degree granting colleges. Sir, give me a few seconds. There's some technical issue with my slide. Just not able to move my slides.
Otherwise, ask some technical person. They will help you.
I think the issue is with my laptop, sir.
Okay, okay.
I'm actually not at CES today. I have come elsewhere for a meeting.
Yeah.
So I got a place to sit and the internet connection. I know that I had some issues with my laptop.
Take your own time, madam, to try this. Not the issue.
No, we could hear you, madam. I don't think there would be a problem.
Okay.
It's clear.
So if this is fine, sir, I'll go ahead with this. If I go for a full screen, I'll have some challenges in.
No, this is fine, madam. Please go ahead, madam.
Yeah, moving the.
Yeah.
cursor. So with regard to structural changes, the main recommendation the policy makes is transforming our entire higher education institution into a multidisciplinary institutions. So under NEP, we are going to experience large multidisciplinary universities and colleges.
Ma'am,
Moving on,
sorry
the
to
policy says by
disturb
2030,
you.
all our higher education
Ma'am.
institution will have to
Ma'am, please show it in full screen mode.
Madam, if I put it on a full screen, I wouldn't be able to move the cursor. So I have some technical issue. I will share the presentation with all of you if necessary.
Thank you.
Fortunately, if I make it full screen, my system is giving some technical problems, so I'm not able to move.
Okay, ma'am, noted. ma'am.
So-
We are not
so
able to see
policy-
the font.
Yeah. So the policy says by 2030, all our higher education institutions will have to become a multidisciplinary institution, and with each institution at least having 3,000 or more students. So we can imagine the massive size of each of our institution that's going to come up as NEP starts unfolding. So all the single stream higher education institution, which is the characteristics of the current higher education system, will have to be phased over a period of time. So either the institution will become a multidisciplinary institution, or institution has to become a part of the vibrant multidisciplinary higher education institution clusters. Even the system of affiliated colleges will also be phased out over a period of time. The policy has given 15 years of time for phasing out the affiliated system. It is also going to set up a graded autonomy system to ensure that all the affiliated colleges attains the autonomous level. And the policy talks about increasing the GR to 50% by 2035. So with regard to the types of institution, the policy talks about three types of institution. Type 1 will be research intensive universities. These are the universities which place equal emphasis on teaching as well as research. There are going to be type 2 teaching intensive universities. These are the universities which are going to place greater emphasis on teaching, but they still conduct significant amount of research in their institutions. In the third type, we are going to find autonomous degree granting colleges. And these are the large multidisciplinary institutions which are going to grant undergraduate degree. And they will primarily focus on undergraduate teaching. Even though they're going to integrate the research component into undergraduate curriculum, these autonomous degree granting colleges basically offer undergraduate degrees, and their main focus would be undergraduate teaching. So the policy has suggested devising a stage-wise mechanism for granting graded autonomy to all colleges through a transparent system of graded accreditation. So accreditation and assessment is going to be repositioned under NEP, and autonomy of the colleges will be determined by their assessment and accreditation status. Suppose you may have a question, if my college does not fall under any of these type, there is another category called Constituent College. So suppose if you are not a type 1 university or type 2 university, or you are not moving towards autonomous degree granting college, you would be referred to as a constituent college of a university. However, the policy recommends you must fall under any of these three categories. So even if you to start with an constituent college, it pushes you to become an autonomous degree granting college in a long term. So the entire regulatory reforms are going to set for a major changes. It is famously called a light but tight regulation. Under this light but tight regulation, there is going to be a one single apex body that's called Higher Education Commission of India. So Higher Education Commission of India is going to be apex overarching body, which will take care of the entire higher education system. And under that, we are going to have four independent verticals. These four independent verticals will be given the distinct functions, and these are independent from each other. They are independent from the governmental interference. They are autonomous, but they ensure a coordinated, streamlined work to enhance the quality of our entire higher education. The first vertical is National Higher Education Regulatory Council. So this is going to be a single regulator. The entire system will be regulated by this single regulator. Probably you will be better informed than me. In the current system, we have somewhere around 18 to 19 regulatory authorities. So when we want to set up an institution, an higher education college or a university, we will be probably submitting different documents to or same documents to different regulatory authorities. So under that fragmentation will be addressed. So there will be a streamline and integration of the entire regulation under this NHERC. The second vertical is going to be a National Accreditation Council. NAC is going to be the meta accrediting body. This will take care of the entire accreditation and assessment of all higher education institutions. And under NAC, the policy recommends setting up of accrediting institution or AIs. So AIs are going to help NAC in its mandate of accreditation and assessment. So there might be several AIs spread across the country, but there will be one NAC giving the guidelines or a framework for the entire accreditation and assessment. So the third vertical is going to be Higher Education Grants Council, which will take care of the financing of higher education. So the fourth vertical, for me, this is very, very important and a very critical vertical, which is General Education Council. And GEC is going to set up what we call graduate attributes or learning outcome based education or simply higher education qualification framework. So this is going to come with a framework which will determine how our undergraduate program or postgraduate program or PhD programs must be devised. As of now, there are some professional courses which have these graduate attributes or a curriculum framework, but a large number of degree programs like BSc, BCom, or BBA, these courses have no set qualification outcomes or qualification frameworks. We have a syllabus, we have a content, we have a curriculum, but attributes have not been set out. So GEC is going to come out with a qualification framework based on which all higher education institutions have to design their curriculum. And in the current system, we have a lot of other bodies like we have Agriculture Council, we have Architecture Council, we have National Vocational Education and Training, we have Teacher Education Council, we have several other discipline specific bodies which are currently regulating the higher education space. So in henceforth, all these bodies are going to become a professional standard setting bodies, and they work with GEC to set up a higher education qualification framework, which is going to determine how our programs, all academic programs are going to be determined, going to be delivered, and going to be designed. So moving forward, as I was mentioning, the most important or the core or the spirit of the national education policy is introduction of holistic and multidisciplinary education with multiple exit and re-entry options. This is going to revolutionize our entire education system, especially at the undergraduate. So I'm going to talk about certain components that the policy has presented with regard to holistic and multidisciplinary education. So when we decide to develop the curriculum based on HMD, we must ensure that these components are very well represented in our curriculum. The first and foremost is our undergraduate program is going to be holistic and multidisciplinary program. It's going to be either 3 years or 4 years duration with multiple exit option with appropriate certification at every exit points. I'm going to talk in detail the next slide. So even though the policy says the undergraduate program has to be either 3 years or 4 years duration, the emphasis is on the 4 year. So even though it has given the scope for multiple exit and entry, we as a faculty and we as higher education institution must ensure that our students who enter the undergraduate program, they complete their 4-year undergraduate program. The exit and entry option is not to be loosely used either by the institution or by the students. So that's the challenge that all of us have now. So moving on, the policy also has given high amount of mobility to our students. Now under NEP, students can uh, register in multiple higher education institutions. They also have a mobility between and among higher education institutions. I can register in Bangalore University and also register for a course in University of Mysore. Similarly, I can do from Bangalore University. So in the current system, once I take up a course in a one particular university, I hardly have any option of joining in other course in any other university, unless until it's something called value added course, which I do it after my college or university. But now, while student is pursuing a course in a particular university, he or she can register for a course in other universities, and the credit earned by those courses will have to be considered for awarding the certificate, diploma, or degree. And this mobility has been made possible through Academic Bank of Credit, which is a digital storage of academic credits earned by students from various courses and from various higher education institutions. Another important component of this holistic and multidisciplinary education is the policy is going to take away the divisions that has been the core character of our current higher education system. That's division between curricular, extracurricular, academic, sports, or non-academic. I'm sure most of you agree with me. However, this has been my experience of working with many colleges and as a part of sports policy of Karnataka and youth policy of Karnataka. Whenever we have gone to the students, I have heard their opinion. They say there's no scope in my college to pursue my sports passion or pursue my music or dance. This has been a recurring voice among our youngsters, those who are enrolled in the college or any degree program. So there is a perception among us, among the faculty and the institution, that the things that the learning that happens inside the classroom are academic, and those are learning, and the things that happens are really does not matter. But what policy says, whether we can integrate our other activities, like it can be sports, it can be community engagement, it can be dance, it can be music, it can be performing arts or fine arts, can that be integrated with the academic pursuit, and whether that also be credited while we award our students. So the division, curricular, extracurricular, sports, non-sports, these things should be done away as the policies start being implemented. Another critical component that we need to take care of is integrating vocational education with our mainstream academic curriculum. Even though all of us agree that vocational education training or skill development is very, very important for our graduate students, nevertheless, we have not been able to, or we have not succeeded in offering the necessary occasional education or skill development for our students. The reason, as we know, we have been parallelly running the mainstream academic as well as vocational education. As long as we run this parallelly, there is a perception in our society, in our family, that those who go to academic colleges or those who pursue mainstream academic are good at academics, and those who get into vocational education are those who have been sort of failed in the academics. So this perception, in fact, has damaged the very arena of vocational education and training. That's also the reason why our students prefer going to the mainstream academics rather than going and getting occasional education and training. So to address this societal challenge and also considering the importance of business and other skilled components, now under the NEP, vocational education will be integrated with the mainstream education. So a lot of efforts are already underway. I'll probably talk about it again in the next slide. So moving on, this is the first policy that has considered students as the primary stakeholders. So it is offering a highest amount of flexibility in terms of selecting subjects to our students. So the rigid boundaries, which is ruling the current higher education system, or the watertight compartmentalization that we are witnessing in the form of BA, BSc, BCom, or BCA, several such degree programs, all these will be done away as the policy starts unrolling. So under NEP, students will have a predominant flexibility, choose a subject of his, her liking, passion, and of course, based on the competency and eligibility. So under NEP, student can have a combination of mathematics with political science, or physics with history, which in the current education system, it is absolutely unfeasible. No student has been given this shift of subject or the opportunity. I know the science students have this flexibility to certain extent, but the students of other streams have absolutely no choice or limited choice in selecting the subject other than what is considered within their stream or within their overall disciplinary knowledge. So this rigidity, division of subjects and disciplines, will also be done away under NEP. And another important component, which is going to be very important for the successful delivery of holistic or multidisciplinary education, is innovation in terms of our pedagogy. Pedagogy is the way we are going to teach. Pedagogy is the different methodologies we adopt to teach our students. In the current system, our pedagogy is teacher driven. We do not, with respect to those teachers who are experimenting in the classroom, a large number of teachers have no scope for any experimentation as such. But NEP is going to focus more on innovative pedagogy, because we have to bring in the component of holistic in our learning as well as multidisciplinary approach to teaching and learning. So some of the pedagogical rules the policy has suggested is going for experiential learning, wherein we have a theoretical perspective in the classroom, as well whether we can take our students to the field to have that experiential learning or learning by exposure or doing. And whether we can have the component of inquiry driven, discovery based, and learner centered approach to teaching and learning. And more so, the learning is going to be based on the students' participation and students' faculty participation. It is not just faculty driven, it is a student driven, and it is entirely based on how our students also going to proactively participate in the teaching and learning process. So basically, it talks about student centric learning process, and it gives a lot of flexibility even in terms of pedagogical experiments and adaptation of pedagogical tools within our classroom teaching. So continue with this. Accordingly, even our assessment or evaluation, students' assessment or evaluation will also undergo a major change. Now, in our current system, we mainly focus our assessment of our students based on probably semester exams or annual. If we have an annual scheme, we have a 1 or 2 examination in a year, and these examinations or tests largely determine our students' fate. But what the policy talks about is a continuous formative assessment wherein students will be evaluated around the clock. With regard to school education, in fact, the policy talks about having an assessment tool which allows assessment for 300, they call it as a 360-degree assessment tool, wherein once a student enters the college, whether we can have an assessment adopted throughout the students stay with the college. It's not just based on a 1 or 2 examination, it must be supplemented by several other formative assessment. For example, could be how good the student is in the classroom participation, how good a student in a project, in any other value addition that the college takes up. So these are the components that you as a college, you as a faculty can identify for assessing your students' progress. So when we talk about assessment, it's going to assessment will be for both of learning and for learning. So with regard to the multiple exit and entry and what will be awarded at every exit point, the policy has given 4 options here. So it says any student who will complete a 1-year study in a particular profession or area of study would be issued a certificate course. And after completing 2 years of study, a student will be awarded an undergraduate diploma. And when a student completes a 3 years of a program, he or she will be awarded a 3-year undergraduate bachelor's degree. And those who complete 4 years will have a 4-year undergraduate honors. We are not yet decided the nomenclature, but it can be honors or a specialization or a major. So one will get a 4-year undergraduate degree. For every exit point, the UGC has already stipulated a number of credits. So the college and university will actually decide how it can be distributed and how it has to be determined. So colleges and university will have a certain amount of flexibility within the larger framework. And in the 4th year, if a student prefers to take up research in his or her major area and takes up does a rigorous research project, 4-year undergraduate degree can also be honors with research in the specialized area. Even the post-graduation or master degree program and PhD programs will also see some changes. There could be 2-year post-graduation program for students who have completed 3-year bachelor's program. In the 2-year PG program, the 2nd year will be devoted entirely to research. There could be 1-year postgraduate program for students who have completed a 4-year bachelor's program with research as a rigorous project. And there can also be a 5-year integrated UG and PG program. So the colleges and universities can decide which type they want to offer depending on the incumbent students. So undertaking PhD will require either a master's degree or a 4-year bachelor's degree with research. And the MPhil program, which is being offered by many of the universities now, will be discontinued under NEP. So to promote this holistic and multidisciplinary education, the policy recommends setting up of MARUs, that's multidisciplinary education and research universities. These are public universities modeled at par with the IITs and IIMs, which are going to come up with programs which will be equivalent to global standards of quality education. So there is already a lot of discussions are happening to set up Merus across the country. And we're very sure in a couple of years we will have a few Merus which will definitely guide the other higher education institution in developing this holistic and multidisciplinary education. So the focus of all higher education institution in the coming days would be on research and innovation. To make this happen, the policy itself recommends setting up of startup incubation centers, technology development centers, and centers in frontier areas of research. There is going to be a greater linkages between industry and academic institutions. Now we know there is some participation by industries in some of the governing boards or academic councils, but these are very limited to premier institutions in the country. But what the policy talks is every higher education institution must have certain amount of linkages with the industries, and policy is going to provide that platform to all colleges and universities through which it can have that linkage with the industry. So this will not only help them in research, but also help in designing their curriculum as well. And probably if you want to have an experiential learning for your students, you can make use of the industry to send your students as interns or just to have an exposure to industry front. And under the policy, there's a lot of scope given to interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary research projects, including humanities and social science research. And in the coming days, the research which have the component of interdisciplinary and intradisciplinary will receive a lot of attention and also funding. So entire vocational education is going to be repositioned. A lot of scope and importance is given to the vocational education. I hope you may all recall a couple of years ago, we started a skill development initiative at the center. The aim was to skill 500 million youngsters, but unfortunately that did not happen because skill development initiative was never integrated with the mainstream education as much as it was needed. So as long as we run academic courses and occasional courses in two different sectors and two different entities, we can't see the success that is meant to see. So that's the reason why the policy talks about integrating vocational education with the mainstream education. This is happening both at the school level and also among higher education institution. In a very phased manner, probably in a decade or so, we will see this seamless integration of vocational education with all our school and higher education or tertiary education level. So the policy also has targeted that by 2025, at least 50% of our learners through school and higher education system will have certain amount of exposure to vocational education. They're already working out on a plan with the targets and timeline and budget. I'm very sure the educational institution will get a communication with this regard. And the policy says all our higher education institution will have to offer vocational education either on their own if they have a required infrastructure and trained faculty members, or they can offer this in partnership with industries or NGOs. So that they already have policy itself has provided that scope for the higher education institution. Either you offer on your own, if you're not in that position to offer on your own, you can definitely enter into some sort of a partnership with the identified industry or an NGO which is working in the area of vocational education and training. And there is a Bachelor of Vocational degree which was introduced in 2013. Again, because there was some perception about vocational education here, the BVOC degree did not see as much success as they thought of. So this program is not so visible. And there are no much taker for this PVOC. However, this degree will continue, and at the same time, the bachelor's program, which is going to be started under NEP, will also include vocational education in its 4-year multidisciplinary bachelor program. So that will be running as of now, whichever college or university is offering, and gradually this will be integrated with our regular 4-year undergraduate program. And through an initiative called Lokvidya, all the important vocational knowledge that's indigenous to India, which is developed in India, which has been a part of the Indian culture and heritage, is going to be made accessible to all our students. So there is some efforts happening at the national level to digitalize India's vocational knowledge. And once that is done, it will be made available to all our students from across India. Any student from South can access what is happening in the Northeast, and similarly, student from different part can get to know the occasional skills or the heritage of Karnataka. So this is something will expose our students to what is being developed in India, along with other necessary modern skills. So the policy also says that possibility of offering vocational courses through ODL, open and distance learning mode, will also explode under NEP. So now the studies taken up under ODL does not carry as much as weightage as done in the on-campus or in-campus certificate courses. But now policy is going to set up certain guidelines and frameworks which will make ODL as important, as valued as the on-campus courses. So MHRD now, the Ministry of Education, has constituted a national committee for the integration of vocational education. This is a body which is consisting of experts in vocational education and representatives from different ministries, central ministries and state ministries, and also representatives from industries have come forward to oversee the entire integration efforts. So a lot of series of discussions and debates and meetings are being held to ensure that appropriate integration at appropriate stages are done. Incubation centers will also be set up in the higher education institution in partnership with industries. So there are a lot of industries and industrial conglomerations which have come forward to set up incubation centers in some colleges. We do have certain centers now, like Atal Tinkering Labs, and there are quite a bit of centers in engineering colleges as well. But unfortunately, these are largely limited or accessible to students of engineering. What the policy talks about is this should not be limited to science and technology or engineering. All higher education institutions, irrespective of what stream of education they are offering, should have an incubation center, or students should have access to incubation center. However, as NEP comes in picture, we will not have this BA, BSc, BCom streams as such. All higher education institutions will offer holistic and multidisciplinary education, for which access to incubation centers becomes very, very important. So besides this, Indian standards, labor standards will also be aligned with the international standard classification of occupation, which is being maintained by International Labour Organization. This is to ensure that whatever certificate or diploma with regard to vocational education is obtained by our students have a global acceptability and recognition. Now that's not the case with regard to Indian students, but once this standard is aligned with the international standards, our student certificate will be valued and accepted at the global market. So that's how the entire vocational education and training is going to be repositioned. And besides this, a credit-based framework is being introduced, which will facilitate the mobility across general and vocational education. So lateral entry will be made possible and easy. So students from general education can get into vocational education any point of time, and there is a reverse entry as well. This is made to ensure that our students very easily, shift from general to vocational education or equip whatever skills they needed, skills and knowledge they need as they enter the world of work. So there has been one point of view. A lot of higher education institutions and stakeholders have been asking, why do we need a holistic and multidisciplinary education at this point of time? Um, we have already completed 2 decades in 21st century, and our 3 years degree program is seems to be fine with our students and with our parents. And why do we need is a question that we have been asked several times across country. So one thing that has been noticed is the cognitive research findings that have been doing the rounds. So what this cognitive research says is, when we integrate the humanities subject with that of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, there have shown a consistently positive learning outcomes among our students. Their level of creativity and innovation has been increased. Their level of critical thinking and higher order thinking capabilities and competencies have also gone up, and they have been very good learners when it comes to problem solving abilities or teamwork or communication. So when we integrate STEAM with STE arts and mathematics, STEAM with STEM, there has been a very, very positive outcome. So that's why not only in India, all over the world now, there has been a lot of efforts to bring in science and technology, engineering, mathematics subject with that of the humanities and social science. So these two very contrasting subjects are said to have giving ability to our students, a perspective to our students, which is very, very important for them to succeed and sustain in the 21st century challenges. So that's why it is very, very critical for our education system to open up and see, create a scope wherein our students have exposure and learning in various disciplines. And the same research have also shown that learning and mastery of curricula across fields, like across science, humanities, social science, or philosophy or physics, through a holistic and multidisciplinary approach to teaching and learning, have increased social and moral awareness, along with making our students engage with the community and also enjoy their teaching and learning at the same time. So these are something very, very positive and impactful outcome on our students when we integrate our various disciplinary subject to our undergraduate program. Very quick overview on what are the 21st century skills and why it is important for our students. The World Economic Forum, I'm sure all of you are aware of, every year they bring out a list of skills important. So with regard to 21st century, very recently they have brought out the skill list, which is based on the survey of many global industries as well as country profiles. So based on that survey, they have identified 16 very, very critical skills categorized under 3 broad headings. They call foundational literacies, which are very fundamental and basic to all students, like literacy, numeracy, scientific literacy, ICT literacy, or digital literacy, as our policy refers to, or financial literacy for matter, and cultural and civic literacy. I'm sure you all agree with me. All these 6 skills are very, very important core skills which our students need for everyday transaction. I really don't know, as a grown-up adult, I'd still be thinking, why, as a student of political science or a student of arts, we were not taught financial literacy. Now, all of us have to deal with our finance. If not a deep financial transaction, at least we should have been taught about how to manage our savings, how to contribute to the national development, how to be uh, visionary in terms of our own financial management. These are the certain things that all of us, I feel, necessary. It should not be restricted to only commerce students or finance students. All of us must be exposed to that. And today I'm a taxpayer, and most of us are taxpayers. But how much knowledge do we have with regard to tax? How it happens. So these are the fundamental knowledge we all must be knowing. And with regard to competencies, which our students needs to pick up to address the complex challenges of the 27th century, or critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, communication skills, and collaboration. You can see there are important 4 C's, which are very, very critical skills for our students to deal with the complex and very challenging nature of current issues. So apart from this, there are character building qualities. It's basically about how a student develops its own attitude and its own values towards the changes around and within, like curiosity, taking up initiative, being proactive in certain matters, and having persistency. It's very, very important. We should never give up whatever we initiate, and adaptability, leadership, social and cultural awareness is another important. These are the 16 core skills, 21st century skills. All our students, or any students for the matter, must be equipped with as he or she graduates from the college and university. And besides this, it also talks about a lifelong learning. We must put our students on a lifelong learning mode. In 3-4 decades back, or a degree or a PhD is the end of the education, because our time did not change much faster. It wasn't so dynamic as in today. But today, what I learned in my college, by the time I pass out and complete 2 or 3 years of my job, there will be a lot of change happening. So we must ensure that our students have a self-motivated level of learning, and we should also inculcate that metacognitive abilities on our students, so that they get to know where to learn, what to learn, how best they can professionally and personally develop themselves. When we talk about holistic and multidisciplinary education, the very important thing is creating that conducive ecosystem. So to create that conducive ecosystem, we need to consider 3 important components. That's curricular, what we are going to teach to our students, or from students' point of view, what is worth learning. And the second one is pedagogy. How do I teach my students, or how my students are going to learn what I'm going to teach. And the assessment part, like, how am I going to assess my students' learning outcome? As I mentioned, assessment here is assessment of learning and assessment for learning. When I talk about assessment of learning, is I'm going to evaluate whatever the students has learned, that may be through an examination or a test or a quiz. And secondly, based on the outcome, based on the result, assessment for learning is how am I going to address any learning gaps? How am I going to put my student to the next level of learning? So these components are very, very critical. So it is an entire ecosystem. Now, largely as a teacher or as an institution, we are so very familiar with receiving syllabus or curriculum from the higher up, and we just ensure that we complete that portion, we deliver that in the classroom. But under this holistic and multidisciplinary education, it talks about the whole supportive system, which is very, very critical for our students' holistic development, all-round development. So that's why some colleges overseas, they talk about graduate attributes. In fact, their programs, degree programs are determined by what sort of graduate attributes that the college has. So graduate attributes are nothing but knowledge, skills, and attitudes that all the graduates should possess, and which will also make them effective professionals. So besides the disciplinary knowledge, the subject knowledge, we must ensure that our graduates are equipped with the defined graduate attributes. So some of the graduate attributes that we can think of is critical thinking, problem solving, computational thinking, effective thinking, social interaction, self-directed lifelong learning, effective citizenship, ethics, environment, sustainability, global perspectives. These are the 10 graduate attributes set out by the American Association of Colleges and Universities. When you look at the list, these are all more or less the 21st century skills as well. With regard to NEP, the GEC is going to come out with the graduate attributes. In fact, it is going to set out certain graduate attributes which have to be integrated with our undergraduate or postgraduate programs. So our curriculum henceforth will be defined by the graduate attributes that we determine. So there will be a disciplinary component, and along with those disciplinary component, we need to have a graduate attributes. As of now, from technical education, I've already set out certain graduate attributes. For example, EICT has it for engineering students, but we don't have for other non-technical or courses like humanities or social science, or we don't have it for commerce. So now now UGC will work out, but it is definitely the mandate of GEC to come out with graduate attributes. It is going to come up wherein it will have a standard framework for the entire nation, and within that, of course, the institution and the state will have certain amount of liberty to include their contextual. So very quickly on the academic bank of credit. So I'm sure all of you know that now the academic bank of credit is a reality. The Gazette notification is already out and is available on the public domain. It says establishment and operation of academic bank of credits in higher education regulations. This has been released in July 2021. So based on the Gazette notification, what it says is an academic bank of credit is a digital account which would digitally store the academic credits earned by all our students from various recognized higher education institutions. Here it can be recognized or it can be registered higher education institutions. So the academic bank of credit is an individual account for academic credits which will be opened and operated by student. So all the academic credit earned by a student from various courses from across the recognized higher education institution will be deposited in that particular account, and a student can use these credits to redeem for award of degree or diploma or certificate or any other award for the matter. So this ABC will be established on the lines of National Academic Depository. This is going to be a dynamic website which will provide all the details regarding academic bank of credit and how it has to be operationalized. So all information will be given to all the higher education stakeholders. If I'm not wrong, I think NAAC has also started an initiative to train a NAAC accredited institution with regard to how they can familiarize with the academic bank of credit. So what are the critical functions of ABC? So ABC is going to be, will deposit credits awarded by all the registered higher education institutions. I'm referring the word, emphasizing the word registered higher education institutions here. This is meant mainly for the students, for the courses they pursue these registered higher education institutions. The courses a student will undergo through online mode like Swayam, NPTEL or VLAB will also be considered for awarding credits, and they can also use these credits for redeeming for a certificate or a diploma. And in the interest of students, the credits earned and deposited will have a maximum duration of 7 years. So the validity of the academic bank of credit within which a student must make use of the credits earned will be 7 years. Within that period, that 7 years, a student must encash the credits or redeem the credits for getting the certificate, diploma, or any degree for which he or she will be eligible for. So the key functions of academic bank of credits is going on. Credits obtained by students under skill development courses, again from the registered higher education institution, will also be considered, and those students can avail the ABC facility. Credits obtained by undertaking courses in the registered higher education only during 2021, 22, 22 academic year will be eligible for this ABC network. Students joining prior to this will not be eligible under ABC. They cannot avail the academic bank of credit structure or facility. Now, the important thing is who can become a part of the higher education institution to registered with the academic bank of credit. Which institution, higher education institution, can avail this facility? So the Gazette notification has identified 5 types of institutions, 5 types of higher education institutions, which can become a part of the ABC network. So the universities and autonomous colleges which are accredited by either NAAC with A grade can become a part of ABC network. They can become, they can register and they will become a registered higher education network, or universities and autonomous colleges which have an NBA accreditation for at least 3 programs with a minimum 675 score can become a part of the ABC, or those colleges and universities which are in the top 100 national institutional ranking framework or any other similar body can also become a part of ABC, or those institutions which appear in the top 100 world ranking QS or Times can also become, or institution of eminence or institution of national importance, which are also standalone institution set up by the central or state, declared by government of India, will become eligible for registering with academic bank of credits, and students who are a part of this academic bank of credit operated by the registered higher education institution can avail the facility of this credit transfer or mobility, the whatever facility or flexibility the policy talks about can be executed by these registered higher education institutions, and students enrolled here can avail this facility. So I complete my presentation here. So now we are open for discussion.
Is open for discussion.
Ma'am, this is Nilima here.
Uh, uh, I request I request all the participants to kindly mute your device so that one by one person can ask the query so that madam can explain. I
Yes,
request.
sir.
I request.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, madam. Rosaline, madam, you can ask, madam.
Sir, no, sir, I have no queries now, as of now.
Yeah, yes, but your hand is virtually handed. Just I will ask. Okay. Other participant, you can unmute you directly one by one. You can ask the queries from madam.
Madam, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Jabi Singh, Vice Principal from St. Joseph's College of Commerce, Autonomous, Bangalore.
Bangalore. Yes, sir.
Yes. I have one query regarding now we have a Commerce College, standalone colleges.
Uh-huh.
So, standalone college, we have start multidisciplinary courses, right? Future?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, all the standalone colleges will either have to become a multidisciplinary college, or you can become a part of the larger higher education cluster.
So, you can merge, the college can merge
Yes,
with other.
absolutely, sir. Sir, for you, I don't think there will be any big challenge because St. Joseph has several other colleges, right? Offering different courses. So you can become a part of that larger cluster.
So, we can also start some multidisciplinary programs also in our campus.
Absolutely, sir. You can start. You can start.
Okay, connected with other multidisciplinary programs like
Yes, sir.
psychology,
Sir,
sociology.
your current commerce college can continue. The students who enroll there, if they want to take up courses in other disciplines, you can refer them to other colleges, and those who want to take up commerce can come down to your college. You can have that sort of a partnership with other institution. And in the long run, you can have your own multidisciplinary courses offered at your campus. So it is your call. It is your take how you
Yes.
want to.
Sure. Then second question,
Yeah,
ma'am,
ma'am.
regarding upgrading of
Good evening,
autonomous
ma'am. Rosalind here.
existing autonomous colleges,
Ma'am, can you hear me?
upgrading into degree awarding status. So what is the stay on that, ma'am? Will they'll give a degree awarding status for the autonomous colleges?
Yes, sir. Sir, now, as per the national education policy, if you are a college, either you have to be a autonomous degree granting college or you have to become a constituent college. If you become a constituent college, you will come under a particular university or a jurisdictional university.
Correct.
You in the long run, you can become a autonomous degree granting colleges, wherein you will function as an independent college. So you will be awarding the degree to students in the name of your college. Now your college students are affiliated to St. Joseph, Bangalore University.
Bangalore City University.
Bangalore City University. So
Yes,
your
yes.
college degree will be in the Bangalore City University, right?
Yes,
But
correct.
in the coming days, if you go for a autonomous college status,
Yes.
you can award your own degree in your
Okay.
in your college name. Of course, there is going to be lots of checks and balances.
Correct.
The accreditation status will come in picture. The quality will come in picture. Of course, there's going to be a lot of guidelines to be followed by any college to attain the status of autonomous college.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Ma'am,
Yes,
can I
ma'am.
go ahead?
Yes, Rosalind, ma'am, please go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am, I'm from Presidency College, Bangalore. See, our college, we have a huge demand for the PG courses like MCA, MBA, MCOM, MCFA, like that. So, what will be the scope of these PG courses if NEP is being implemented?
PG course, the scope will definitely continue. It's not going to be marginalized in any case, and neither the NEP says that the importance is only to the undergraduate program. To begin with, the undergraduate program should be of 4 years, and holistic multidisciplinary component must be integrated. The in the higher education sector, it starts from the undergraduate program, but it will be continued to PG and beyond as well. So you can continue your PG programs, and accordingly, probably you can also redesign your restructure your PG programs. Now there is a 1-year PG program. There can be an integrated program as well. Probably you can also counsel some of your students to take up integrated UG PG program. Those who are academically inclined, you can also counsel them to do it. And as we know, the policy is going to increase the GR. So you can imagine a lot number of students are going to enter the tertiary education, college education. So the scope is very, very wide. And Karnataka being the most sought out state in the entire country, from college education for higher education, I'm sure a lot of inflow will also be here. And Karnataka has advantage. Only thing is you need to accordingly tweak your program and also make holistic and multidisciplinary even at the post-graduation level. Hope I was able to answer your question, ma'am.
Hello. Good afternoon, madam. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir. Good
I'm
afternoon,
Dr.
sir.
Venkatesh from Canara Engineering College, Mangalore. My
Yes.
doubt is that now we have a multiple entry level system. Like for engineering education, we have a separate entrance test. For medical, we have a different entrance test. Agricultural, we have different. After implementation of NEP, will there be a common entrance test that was being proposed? It's not
Sir,
very clear whether it will the current system will persist or a new system will come.
So the thinking is happening to bring out a single entry exam. Of course, there will be one or two differences because there are discipline specific learning as well. The thinking is happening is now we are still at the transition level. They are working out the guidelines and structures. I'm sure down the line we will have a single entrance exam for all the higher education.
Thanks, madam. One more clarification. If
Yes, sir.
higher education institutions can start offering diploma certificates, what about polytechnics? Will they continue to exist or will they merge with the HEIs?
So polytechnics will now become a part of the larger higher education institutions. Now we are going to offer vocational education as your mainstream curriculum. So those vocational education can be offered in the polytechnics, and the certificates and diplomas offered by polytechnics are slightly different from the certificate and diploma which is going to be offered under NEP. Even the credit combinations will be slightly different. One thing. And secondly, sir, when we talk about multiple exit and entry, we are definitely not promoting multiple exit and entry. It is only the option given to those students who have certain challenges in completing 3 years or 4 years undergraduate program. The thinking is, suppose a student is studied for a 1 year and for some personal reason or family reason has to, or financial reason has to drop out from the education system, he or she should be called not a dropout but a certificate holder and should have certain skills and knowledge which will make him or her seek an employment and earn the livelihood. That is the intention and the vision of the policy when it talks about multiple and entry and exit. It is definitely not promoting multiple entry and exit. In fact, I keep telling this to all our faculty members and higher education institutions. Please strengthen your counseling centers, mentoring systems in your institution. Suppose a student wants to quit after 1 year, it is our responsibility to counsel and ensure that the value of completing a 4-year undergraduation program is totally different from just taking a certificate and going out. So we need to talk about the value addition our students will get after completing 4-year undergraduation. So the option is there. But the sincere advice is not to recommend to a student to exercise that option.
Thank you.
Must prevent
Hello.
the students from exercising that option.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Yes,
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I am Dr. D.T. Angdi, retired principal of Shanabasweshwar College of Arts, Kalburgi.
Yes, sir.
My question is, ma'am, you referred incubation center.
Yes, sir.
So particularly humanities, arts students, or even in the arts college, some of the teachers are not able to understand what is incubation center, and is it possible to create incubation center in the arts college?
So very good question. I am a promoter of social innovation.
Yes,
In
ma'am.
fact, you said it very well, sir. When we think of incubation center and when we think of innovation, we often think it can happen only in the science sector. It can happen only by the engineering students. But there is this, now this belief has been addressed. We are living in an age wherein social innovation is very, very important for us. In fact, the same question was raised by many of the social science faculty. We start from understanding the concept. What exactly is the social innovation? What is the incubation center? How do we, make use of this one? So the central website has already come out with startup innovation centers. And you probably may be aware that UGC had constituted 9 experts group. One of the experts group was on research, innovation, and ranking, wherein the group has promoted setting up social incubation. Social innovation is important, and it has recommended setting up incubation centers in all the colleges, irrespective of whether they are engineering college or science or humanities. And no students will have any difficulty in accessing the facility. And to do this before it reaches the students, we know that our faculty members also need capacity building in terms of research and innovation and making use of the centers. That will also be taken up.
No, ma'am. Question is, when we think of metropolitan cities or you can say towns, but whereas in rural colleges, so no industry, we can't reach to the industry. No, our industry people will won't come to the colleges also. So there, I may find difficult to inculcate, you can say, our sort of ideas to the students.
Sir, I have little reservation about this. I have come to Kalburgi, but I
Yes.
have not studied it too deeply. Sir, we from CES have a long-term engagement with Karnataka State Rural Development and Panchayat Raj.
Yes, ma'am.
If you are aware of that, this university is situated very, very away from the city center.
Mm. Yes.
But they still have all that we have been talking about under NEP. What I meant is now this is not only the higher education or faculty's drive. It is going to be a drive at the societal level, at the national level. So as we are talking, and there is a lot of sensitization happening with regard for industry people as well, so that they keep their doors open for our students for any experiential learning or for any internship. There will be certainly a way out if you want to reach out to the industries or any incubation center. And as under any PISA, we are talking about higher education institution clusters.
Yes.
We are no longer single university or a single college. In a geographical region, there will be several colleges and university with a similar infrastructure. So if your college doesn't have, and a neighboring college or a university has, they have to keep their facilities open for your students, for your faculty as well. So that's how the entire ecosystem is going to build up. Suppose your region does not have access to industry that I'm talking about. I'm sure you must be having agriculture as a primary activity. Even exposing students to varieties of agriculture, supply chain, or many other components of agriculture and allied businesses is going to be the very, very important knowledge for our students. And when we talk about industry, we are not limiting ourselves to the manufacturing industry or service sector. I'm sure in the coming days, agriculture is going to be more important because other SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, it's talking about bringing agriculture to the forefront.
Okay, ma'am.
So
Thank you,
your
ma'am.
students will have a lot of opportunity to experiment with the land, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Madam, you have to unmute, ma'am, if anybody is talking.
I'm Indira, and I retired from University of Mysore, and I'm so happy with the national education policy. What I was thinking is actually taking place, and to supplement with our earlier inquiry, people think innovation means incubation means it's only something technical. There are social projects and social, like for example, any innovation, like now problems are wicked problems. So you really need solutions, from both science and arts. In fact, I offered a course on design for development. So that was with MHRD under GYAN, we offered that. So you really, this incubation centers, it need not be only working with what is called instruments. So incubation centers can come out with some solutions to the existing issues. So that way, it is really, really a very good concept. Like, I think it will take some time for people to understand how we have to identify the social issues and how to find the solutions, how it is possible to find the solutions within the incubation center. I'm really excited, even though I'm out of the university system, but I'm so happy that things are happening the way that is happening. Thank you so
Ma'am,
much.
thank
And you
you
made
so
it
much
very
for
clear.
supplementing our dialogue with your experience. And I'm sure there might be a lot of higher education institutions around you. We already have a mentor. If your college is going to set up an incubation center, or if you want some idea on how do we do, you can probably consult Indira ma'am. In fact, even at the national level, the policy talks about bringing up a database of mentors for different aspects, and you with your working experience, and if you're already you have already offered a course as well, so this will
Very
be
just a
certainly
2 weeks
helpful
course.
to.
It's a 2 weeks course. That time you remember GYAN has supported.
Yes,
Yeah. So under that, my collaborator is from Delft University of Technology, TU Delft. And we have taken some technical project and also social project also. We looked at the design, and students came out with really very interesting ideas. Like you spoke about supply chain. So actually we have looked at jaggery making and issues involved in that. So it was very, very interesting, and so it is possible to do.
to adding to what madam said, now the policy also talks about strengthening Indian knowledge system.
Yes.
So last month, we had a conclave in the Northeast, wherein the AICT people had come forward and they presented what are the initiatives they have taken up with regard to Indian knowledge system. We have a huge knowledge repository, and if you pull up even 10% of it, there are many components which can be, transformed and converted to present use. Only thing is we don't have access to that, and we don't know how we can modify that particular idea to usable product. And I'm sure people like Indira ma'am will definitely help the institutions. And also, yes, we need courses like this. This should not be limited to commerce students or engineering students. All students must be given an offer to learn about innovation. Design thinking is something that's coming up. All of us should be exposed to design thinking.
I think,
So
yes.
even our creativity will be enhanced by doing so. Thank you for that, ma'am. Thank you for supplementing that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excuse me, ma'am. This is Nilima here.
Yes, ma'am, please go ahead.
I'm from BMS School of Architecture, Bangalore.
Ma'am, your voice is very feeble.
How about now, ma'am?
Yes,
Okay,
now
thank you.
it's fine.
Ma'am, we do have a center here in our college, which is Center for Reuse, where ours is an architecture college, independent architecture college, and we have started the Center for Reuse. So something we can do it as part of incubation center with this center.
Absolutely, you can. Now, NEP says you can collaborate with other institution in and around. And research and innovation is going to be very, very important. So probably your college can collaborate with other discipline college in the neighborhood, and you can come up with interdisciplinary or transdisciplinary research project for which you can make use of incubation center, or there are a lot of invites happening the central ministries. They invite ideas, they invite product design, certain areas. I'm sure you can take the lead in that, and you can also tell other institutions that your facility can be made use, and you
Yeah.
can have a small network of faculty members and students, and probably as a collective learning, you can try some initiative.
Ma'am, can you help us with like how to approach or like, I mean, with any government institutions or like, I mean, how to take it ahead?
Ma'am, I mean, you can take our my contact, our institution contact from NAAC.
Yeah, please.
Ours is a Center for Educational and Social Studies, wherein we have a long-term engagement with higher education institutions to help them implement national education policy.
Okay.
So we can work out
Okay.
something for you.
Okay, ma'am. So would you be sharing your contact details, ma'am?
Yes, I can, if it is permitted. Otherwise, probably NAC will share with you, I suppose. I can share, if it is fine with the NAC, I can straight away share my number. Will that be okay with NAC?
I think
I
they
don't
are
know,
on mute,
maybe
ma'am.
I'll give the number so that
Okay.
write my center number and the number. All of those who need can take it up. Do we have any questions, sir?
Ma'am, I'll be needing your profile because I'm preparing a report. So speaker profile is needed. Can you please share that with us?
Yes, ma'am, it's available on our CES website. Center for
Can you please
Educational and
repeat?
Social Studies. Center for Educational and Social Studies. I think I shared the institution's name now.
Okay.
So
Thank you so much for sharing, ma'am.
and you can edit that. You can edit my profile is too big. Just 3 lines is enough. You can just edit, chop off, and that's enough.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Madam, I am Shobha from BMS College for Women.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, under NEP, we have open elective. And now, because of this NEP introduction, then we have add-on courses in the open elective for other stream. For example, add-on course of commerce to the science students. Can we have that, madam?
Ma'am, actually going by the spirit of the policy, we should be able to. But I don't want to comment on the models that the Karnataka State Higher Education Council has shared, because in no way I want to contradict what they have said, even though I was on the task force and I was a part of the curriculum subcommittee. But there are many models have been come out from the education council.
Madam, actually, add-on courses, it's an additional enriching.
Yes, you can, ma'am. You can give. The policy has given that freedom, that flexibility. You can definitely include in that. In fact, the very spirit talks about giving commerce students the art subjects. Art students must have exposure to science and commerce. So that combination you can surely have it. Ensure that the students will have that the eligibility criteria cleared.
Yes. Thank you, madam.
Ma'am, I have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, what could be the major difference like with the current affiliated colleges and the constituent college of university?
Yes, ma'am, under the current affiliated colleges, there will not be any huge difference. But now there is autonomous colleges, affiliated though autonomous. So that autonomy is actually scope-wise very limited. Even though it is affiliated autonomy, still the syllabus and curriculum is coming from the university. But in the NEP, autonomous is in terms of curriculum autonomy. In the long run, it can be administrative autonomy and probably the financial autonomy as well. And the constituent colleges, you become a part of the university function, extension of the university. So you will completely work as per the university norms.
Okay.
What policy says is they don't want to have any even constituent colleges. Even the constituent colleges in the long run should aim to become autonomous degree granting colleges.
Okay.
This is only the transition period is the constituent colleges.
Okay.
So once they have their own roadmap, you have your own roadmap. You can accordingly attain autonomous status.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for the session.
Sir, you have any questions, sir?
Leave me.
Vishnu sir, if we are done with the session, can we?
If there is no question, I
Yeah,
request
if there are
Dr.
no
Vishnu Mahesh,
questions,
please
there are
propose
no
vote of the
questions,
chance.
okay.
Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you, sir.
First, I would like to thank all the participants across the Karnataka who are all joined in this program, especially Vice Chancellor, some principals, some professors, especially IQSC coordinators of the college who are all participated. And I think you all utilized the session of NEP implementation, especially the awareness about the NEP crux points in this webinar. I thank all the participants. Special thanks to our resource person, Dr. Padmavati Madam. Madam dedicatedly explained in all the aspects of the NEP implementation part. Madam actually from the beginning in the first webinars we conducted in the first series and also in second series, Madam wonderfully explained everything in each and each point, because Madam whenever we called, every time Madam in a new way she is going to explain the NEP implementation part. I wholeheartedly thanks Madam on behalf of NAAC and my personal behalf. Thank you very much, Madam.
Sir, thank you so much. I'm honored to be a part of this series. I've now dedicated my life to NEP implementation. So it's an honor for me to be a part of this
Thank you,
one.
ma'am. Thank you.
And hopefully the NAAC team is not bored hearing over and over again the same thing. I'm glad I was able to participate.
Thank you very much, Madam. Thank you,
And
Madam.
I must say one thing,
Please
sir.
share the slides.
Webinars
Please
have
share.
a lot of limitations. I hope very soon we will have a capacity building training workshop for our faculty members and heads. Whatever we hear over through webinar or through any other mode, I don't think they will be in a position to effectively implement the policy. So I urge NAAC should take up this initiative as well. Region-wise training programs, workshops must be conducted. So with this wish, I thank again the participants and the team for the patient hearing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam.
Kindly share the slides, please.
Sure, sir. I can.
We have email IDs of all the participants. Definitely, we are going to send the PPT to everyone.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
sir. I can share.
So much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. That's wonderful.
Thank you,
I
sir.
thank our
Thank you, ma'am.
Dr. M.S. Shamsundar sir, Senior Advisor, Dr. N.R. Mohan, Dr. D.K. Kamble, and also ICT team who all supported this webinar to complete successfully. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ananda.
Thank you, Vishnu sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I request Dr. Pushalakshmi to close the session.